my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
Doing good, Mike. Short week of work as I took a half day today and off tomorrow to
Oh, nice.
help out with
My
childcare
buddy Rich. Rich, how
and
you?
also to spend some time with Amy as it's her birthday on Monday.
Yeah. So early
We're
shout
gonna
out
get
for that one, but we'll get there eventually as well.
yeah yeah. So we're gonna go out of town for the weekend to kind of refresh, um, and also see a cross country meet.
Ooh.
So that our nephew is running it on Saturday.
So sit on a golf course.
No, 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 not sit on a golf course. We go to one spot to see like the first turn, and then we run or walk to where the finish line is, the
Oh,
cheer
okay.
on at the end of the race. So we're at two spots
Okay.
on the course. We don't stay stationary at just at one point.
I've never been. So I part of me prays that my kids never do cross country because I don't understand it all that much because I've never been one to just run. I will support them whatever like if and as I have friends that have kids and if they have kids that want to do cross country and want me to come, I will probably go. I'm still nervous about it, and the big thing is that if I'm going to be on a golf course not playing golf, can I bring a grill and like cook hot dogs and hamburgers?
I've the cross country meets that we've gone to have not been on a golf course.
Oh,
So
okay.
they haven't. They've
I
made a
mean,
track. They've made a cross country course around the high school
okay,
that transverses all the land of the high school as well as the state course at in
okay.
Bloomington. So not on the college campus, but on the around the high school. So we haven't been to a golf course at all.
Okay. I mean,
I've seen one staged at a golf course.
I can see that being a little bit better. But otherwise, your week's going good. My week's busy. It's a homecoming week, so you know how
Mm.
crazy that is gonna be. We are doing our best. I'm doing my best. I have a couple videos that I have to finish tomorrow morning, but other than that, we're pretty close to being ready to go. So I'm hoping to get that done. Um, and if so, uh, if everything works out, I will. Um, I should be. Yeah, it'll be nice. Next weekend, I'm actually thinking about taking a vacation day. Next Friday. Cause why
Nice.
not?
Good, good.
Um,
Exactly. So yeah, so Mike, we got so we're doing an early show because I'll be out of town this weekend. So we'll be talking about the NASCAR playoffs as well as the baseball playoffs, Mike.
yeah.
Uh, some shocking results, in my opinion, as far
Some
as all the
welcomed
wild
results.
card rounds. Yeah, in your eyes, welcome results,
Rich,
but
you can't
surprising,
tell me you
still
still don't
surprising.
you that you don't hold somewhat of a grudge still. At least I have to at least feed a little bit. We'll talk about it in a minute.
We will.
Rich,
So, Mike, what else are we going to be talking about?
we also have two of the greatest of all time. We got to honor them, as well as talk football. We got all sorts of football talk to go through, and we're gonna put a pause on Matt Singer with all that and more. But Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll the intro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich. We have a poll question to talk about this week. So give me a second while I get that pulled up. But
Yeah. So our poll question this week was we're on the cereal side of our bracket, and it is Reese's Puffs versus Fruit Loops. So, Mike, I know where you voted, but I went with Fruit Loops. I don't think that I have ever had Reese's Puffs, and I don't really have a desire to have it.
Why?
So,
Like, genuinely, why do you not want to have it?
I tend not to lean towards chocolate in my cereal. So I'm not a Cocoa Puffs or, well, what are some other, like, chocolate? Cocoa Rice Krispies. So while peanut butter and chocolate are...
Is this why you don't like...
a flavor profile in Reese's Puffs, so that's probably would be a cereal that I wouldn't want.
Is this why you don't like Count Chocula?
Yeah, it's a chocolate-based cereal.
Rich, I can at least kind of forgive you on that, but next time you come up here, all I'm gonna have for cereal is going to be Reese's Puffs.
Okay.
And every day,
if you have it, I will try it. I will try it.
Okay, because
and also, I mean, I don't think besides having cereal, the only time I really have cereal now is kind of like as part of a continental breakfast at a hotel. And growing up, I don't recall.
It wasn't a thing when we were kids.
Exactly. I don't think Reese's Puffs was a thing.
It didn't come out
when I was when I was in grade school, middle school, and we constantly had cereal in the house.
Okay. It came out in... Okay, it looks like 2000... Oh, introduced in 94? I don't remember that.
Well, I guess back when I was in school, and I just don't recall Reese's Puffs being a thing, or not marketed the way it is now.
I don't either.
At least nowhere near the marketing that they put into it now.
We have it in our house regularly. Like it is one of like one of two cereals that we get for me. Now my wife will eat it as well, but there are two cereals we get for me. Maybe three. We get Count Chocula, we get Reese's Puffs, and we get Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay.
We don't get Raisin Bran, even though I love me some Raisin Bran. But no, it's so overall the votes, we had 5 votes, Rich. Let me read you off those that voted for the Fruit Loops. It was AJ Hendricks and Rich Hendricks.
Yeah.
Those voted for Reese's Puff cereals. We had Mikey Hart, Keaton Werner, and Josh Hendricks. Your winner, Reese's Puff cereal. I thought that one was going to be a lot more engaged. I think I would have thought a lot more people liked Reese's Puff cereals than what I actually voted.
All right, Mike. So this week, I'll probably put the poll question up tomorrow while we're driving and on the road. It's going to be waffles versus breakfast casserole. Breakfast casserole, waffles.
That's a tough one. Rich, you're really messing with me right now. Okay, with that, Rich, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left turn, Mike?
It is a left turn, and after that, Rich?
Is it another left-hand turn?
It is, because we're heading into the NASCAR corner. Tell them who presents it, Rich.
Mike, it's presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. You can find them in Moline, Illinois, down on 5th Avenue. And they also have an eBay store, Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated.
Now,
so
this week we are going to talk about the Hollywood Casino 400 in Kansas City, which was last week. Rich, your favorite driver, pulled off the win. Ross Chastain. Denny Hamlin finished in 8th. Ty Gibbs finished in 5th. Great spots for those guys. Kyle Larson finished in 26th. So I took the playoff drivers. But Rich, Martin Truex Jr. took 3rd overall. That means you got 1 point for that. I got 1 point for the playoff for the playoff driver. That means we are a push for the week, and overall, I think we're.
It is 5-4. It's 5-4 for the playoffs, and it is 20-19 in favor of you
overall
for the full overall season.
Okay. Well, so this week, Rich, we are heading to the fastest track in NASCAR. We're heading to Talladega for the Yellowwood 500 at Talladega. Rich, with honors, I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney as my playoff driver.
All right, I like the pick. That's who I was leaning towards. If I had the honors, he'll be in my fantasy lineup. So good pick. For my playoff driver, he's not going to be in my fantasy lineup because I want to save those uses for later on in the playoffs. But I'm going to go with William Byron.
Yeah, I like that. I actually put him in my lineup because he's really good at the super speedways. Rich, who do you have for your non-playoff driver?
Well, my non-playoff driver, I'm going to go Eric Jones from Legacy Motor Club. He's got looking at the track history, he's had some top tens there at Talladega. He's usually pretty good at the super speedways.
Yeah, I don't mind that as a pick, but personally, I'm really excited you didn't take Michael McDowell. That man loves super speedways, and so I'm going to take Michael McDowell on this one all day. I think I'm going to get 2 points this week, Rich.
All right. I hope it doesn't come out that way. I hope it's a split.
You're right.
Myself.
I know you hope that I get 3 points, right?
No, I especially don't want 3 points.
Okay, Rich.
But yeah, before we leave the NASCAR corner, the playoff standings right now, pending the results of both Talladega and the Charlotte Roval, the 4 drivers below the cut line are Tyler Reddick, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, and Austin Cindric. And your points leader among the in the playoff standings is William Byron, who was my pick to win it all at the beginning of the year. Mike, I believe you went with Denny Hamlin. He is currently 5th in the standings.
Okay. That race is going to be Sunday at 2 p.m. on NBC. Check it out there.
Yep. Big network NBC, not hidden on USA.
Or Peacock.
Their affiliated network.
Oh,
or Peacock.
By the way, it has become official. Michael Jordan and 2311 is suing NASCAR for their policies towards the negotiation practices that they did over the charter system. The 2311 team has said that they don't feel like there was enough actual negotiations, and they moved forward without an actual an agreement about from all parties, which we'll have to see how that plays out. The hard part on that is that in NASCAR, I mean, in most of these negotiations, you just need a majority of the people that are voting on it to agree, and that's what they got, and all but 2 didn't. So you're going to have a hard time.
Front Row Motorsports was the other club, and they joined 2311 in the lawsuit.
You're going to have a hard time, though, making this lawsuit stick and actually winning your case just because the way that this stuff's going to be worded, it's going to be real tough for them to do. So don't be surprised if they lose this case pretty handily, pretty quickly.
So will that force them, if they lose the case, that they could have their charters revoked, put on pause? Or could it just be that, well, we lost, we tried, we'll sign this agreement. We'll sign it because there's nothing else that we can do.
I don't know what they'll do. I doubt that their charters can't, like, it's hard because with the way that things work on this, I don't know what the actual rulings are going to look like. So I genuinely am not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to look, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll watch it as things unfold, and we'll give you updates. And then, Rich, you gave us those playoff updates? So
I sure did.
This has been the NASCAR Corner, presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs on 5th Avenue in Moline or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Rich, let's keep making left turns, but this time head to the dirt of the diamond. This is the last Cubs talk of the year, as the Cubs played 2 against the Reds. We both said they'd pick up one of them. Lo and behold, we were right. They went 500. So, do you want to get into the Cubs season in review first, or do you want to get into playoffs and then come back and spend a bit of time? Or we could spend a bit of time.
Let's do the playoffs because I don't think that there'll be much banter about those series too much.
I mean, there's at least one we gotta cheer about.
Yeah, at least one. Okay, so your wild card results, and that's why I put that result at the end, because I knew you'd want to
By the
hear
way,
on it.
did you see what I did while you were updating it?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Okay, so the wild card results, the Mets finished off the Brewers 2-1, and the Padres, the Braves, the Royals, Padres, Braves, and the Tigers all swept their matchups with the Braves, the Orioles, and the Houston baseball team, respectively.
Yeah.
Really, to me, I really thought that the Orioles would do a lot better this year.
Yeah, I thought the fact that they made the playoffs and showed up is something to be said.
This is their second year in a row.
Yeah.
Second year in a row they made the playoffs.
And for most of our lives, that has not been a team you've thought of as a playoff team. There were a few years there when we were younger, but most of our adult life, at least, you would not have been.
Yeah. Okay. Post maybe mid 20s, from our mid 20s on older, they were probably not a consistent playoff team. So there were a lot of lean years in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
and then
for Houston, that snapped a streak of 6 straight years getting to the ALCS.
Yep. What happened 6 years ago, Rich?
I don't know, Mike, but you always like to bring it up. So what is it?
They were beaten on a trash can. Good riddance. Glad they're out.
Yeah. So if anything, with those Royals and Tigers, I mean, the hot team won.
Yeah.
The hot team won.
The other thing about it, though, is that that does mean that doesn't that mean that both teams that went to the World Series are out now?
No, both teams that went to the World Series last year, the Rangers and the Diamondbacks, didn't even.
That's right.
This year.
I forgot that
they didn't even make it this year.
Yeah, that's right. So, man, 3 of the 4 teams that made the championship series aren't even making it back. How about that?
Yep.
When was the last time that happened?
Oh, I could have swore I saw that as a Facebook post, but didn't think to jot it down. So your division series matchups, which will start on Saturday, Mike. The Royals will travel out to the Yankees. The Tigers will take on division rival Cleveland Guardians. The Padres will take on division rival the Dodgers, and the Mets will take on their division rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies.
By the way, Rich, you brought up Facebook posts. How about the best Facebook post of them all? You sent it to me today.
We do.
The 26-man wild card roster for the Detroit Tigers, 2024 salary, $18.8 million. Split between 26 guys. That's actually a bargain team.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes it even crazier is Josh Hader of the Astros, who pitched, didn't he pitch game three?
I believe he did pitch. He pitched game 2, and he was the one that he blew the save.
To the tune of $19 million for 1 year, for this year. That is crazy. What that statistic tells me is that what the A's are going through is not about the money. Because when you look at it, I'm gonna pull it up.
Well, if anything, it shows that there is more than just the A's that can cobble together money and still have winning teams. You just got to make sure that you're hitting on your player development and that you're winning while those guys are on rookie contracts, which a lot of those Tigers are on pre-arbitration contracts.
Okay, team salary payroll trackers.
Okay.
Oh. Well, wait, how does that work out? That doesn't make sense. Oh, okay. This is the one I want. That's it. Okay. I don't understand. This one does. So I'm looking at Sport Track 2024 season salaries, and this says that the Detroit Tigers had a $33 million active roster.
Okay. So that was the key word there. That was their playoff roster. Probably their team payroll probably includes Javi Baez's overpriced deal that they're stuck with.
Okay.
Because they chose to invest in him.
Yeah.
And the contract is horrible.
But the Oakland A's are $28 million. So, by the way, the Rays, how much do you think their total their active salary for 2024 is?
I will go 24 mil.
36.
Okay.
The cheapest team in the majors right now.
The Pittsburgh Pirates.
No.
Who is it?
Miami.
Yep, that makes sense.
By the way, you know who's not in the bottom 10? The Chicago White Sox. The worst record in baseball is their current salary, or their active 26 man is $74 million.
All that for 121 losses.
Ah, man, how
new
crazy.
Major League record.
That's crazy. Anyway, all that to say, to say that it's about the money, I disagree. It's about good evaluation of talent and using rookie deals, which, by the way, the key to getting good rookie deals, it's what the Cubs did, by the way. That's how the Cubs won the 2016 World Series. Great rookie deals and renting a player here or there to make the playoffs. So, Yeah. Okay. So, Rich, shall we go back to the Cubs?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So we're just gonna go with kind of. We know how the season ended.
So
It
let's
didn't
talk about it, though.
it-
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
The Cubs finished 83-79. By the way, tied with the Cardinals, 10 games back behind the Brewers. The Brewers have been on fire most of the year. They've been doing great. They are a good team. I'm not surprised that they were number one. I picked the Cubs because I was drinking the Kool-Aid at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, they still won 83 games. That's not a bad year. Yeah.
Just not good enough this year
Yeah.
to make the playoffs.
If they would have it wouldn't have made it doesn't make the playoffs. That's fine. But it's hard to say that that it was a bad year. Any year you're over 500 is not a bad year, I would argue.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that statement. It wasn't a bad year, but it wasn't a great year either.
No. But should we have expected a great year?
I think with expectation, I think maybe people and probably us included, we overvalued what Craig Counsell would bring to the team.
I disagree. I don't think we've overvalued. I don't think we can say that it's been overvalued yet.
But no, I'm saying going into the year, we were expecting that was going to be a difference maker of having the manager being the one to put us over the top and push us to the team that missed the playoffs by 2 games under David Ross.
Yep.
To making the playoffs by only switching the head coach, only by switching the skipper.
Yeah. So I actually still disagree. I disagree with that kind of. Let me explain it out. When we look at the Cubs, yes, that was our argument. But what has our argument been for years in all sports? That it takes time for a skipper, for a manager, for a coach, for the person in charge to get everything in place to get the team where they are. You got to give them 2 to 3 years to get everything in place and to get not only a feel for the people, but to get the organization to where it should be. I would say we were too excited, and we thought it would make a difference immediately. It never changing skippers, changing managers, changing head coaches, whatever that person in charge doesn't change it immediately. It always takes a year or two. We were way too excited, and we let that go to our heads this year. I'm not mad at it. Now, we have a fan of the show. We thought about calling him and seeing if he wanted to be a part of the show this week, but because we're doing it on a Thursday, I feel a little bad. It would have been nice to have him on, but we'll make it work. Because of that, I would say that the problem wasn't that Craig Counsell had to get his house in order. And I feel like he's done a pretty good job of it. And the second half of the season, 9 games over 500. Or it was more than that, wasn't it? Because we were 9 games under 500 to
Yeah, I think so. The team rebounded in the second half.
Yeah, the second half we did great. The middle to end of the first half we sucked. But it looks like Craig Counsell has gotten the house in order, and the second half of the season looks like what he did is working. So I can't be upset about it.
I would say that it's still a work in progress of getting the house in order, because this off season he's going to be able to bring in his guys.
Yeah,
we've already seen that Mike Napoli has been dismissed. There's talk that Willie Harris, so you could have 2 new base coaches.
Yep.
Next year, as well as I think they said they dismissed the bullpen coach, and they're not going to be bringing him back. So, in a sense, I mean, the only thing that changed on the Cubs coaching staff was
Great
the
counsel.
skipper,
Yeah.
was Counsell coming in as the skipper.
Yeah.
He inherited the entire staff. I think if if Pat Murphy didn't get the job as the manager in Milwaukee, he might have come to Chicago.
Yep.
He might have come down to Chicago with Counsell and been the bench coach.
Yep.
But so I'm interested to see. I wouldn't mind seeing a full new coaching staff, especially probably a pitching coach. Because I think it's time for a new voice for the pitching staff, with Tommy Hotovy being there. I think he was even there during the Joe Madden year, during the end of Joe Madden's tenure.
I thought so.
And he was there through all of David Ross's tenure.
I think so. I think you're right on that. So it'll be interesting to see what changes and how that happens in the next few months, and how.
So if anything, Mike, what do you feel went right this year, besides being over 500 and rebounding to finish over 500 by the end of the year? What do you think went right?
I think we've started answering some positions.
Okay.
We have our infield, like, we're starting to get a set infield. We're gonna need there are still things that we need to finish, especially that first base. I think Michael Busch is a great option there, but is he the everyday guy?
I think he is, but at the same time, that was one of my things that I was going to hit on with getting right, was that all year you were talking about, we need to improve first base and go get Pete Alonso or Vlad Guerrero Jr. Both of those guys are probably much better than Michael Busch, but Michael Busch showed that I think that he could hold down the position. Would you want a platoon bat to pair with him? Yes, but I think that he could be an everyday starter, but you'd want to have a platoon guy that could sub in when needed.
Yeah, my big thing with him, like, I don't know if he's ready to be an everyday starter, but I know that I don't think Cody Bellinger. I don't think we re-sign him.
Well, he signed, but he has opt-outs. Yeah, and I think he is going to opt out.
And doesn't the team have an opt-out, or do they not have an opt-out? I thought they did.
No, the team is a player opt-out.
Okay, well, I think if Bellinger chooses to opt out, we're happy about that. Our outfield is Pete Crow Armstrong is one of those guys that this year has last year he started to make noise and we knew the name, but this year, man, that's the guy. I love that. Yeah. I love that Ian Happ has settled into left field so nicely. He's doing so well out there. And then Seiya in right. Our outfield is handled. I love that.
Well, actually, Mike, I think that they're going to transition Suzuki over to DH full time and not have him out in the outfield.
I'm okay with that.
And that keeps him healthy. So if you have Bellinger opt out, that's going to open up a spot to where you can see if young guys like Owen Cassary, Kevin Alcantara, or even a prospect that's never been able to stay healthy, but puts up good numbers when he is healthy, Brennan Davis, giving them a chance to come up and see if they can take right field.
If Brennan could stay healthy all year, that would make a huge difference. But again, that's been a big if since he started talking about stuff. Our infield looks great. Our infield looks great. I actually am really happy with where our infield is right now. Nico at second. is and Dansby at shortstop. The names don't roll off the tongue as easily as as we've had in the past, but the play there is those two guys, Horner and Swanson, have really started meshing well together, and it's great to see. And that's what you need in your, especially that middle infield, that short and second baseman. Those two guys, once you get those guys in lockstep together, it's a gorgeous thing. And I think that's really one of those spots that is great to have, and I think that's one of the best things that we've done all year.
All right, Mike, on the flip side, what do you think went wrong this year?
Well, I mean, is it the same thing that we talk about every year?
I think it is, Mike.
And
It's the bullpen, Mike.
I would even say some of the starting rotation. I mean, pitching in general. I think our top half of our rotation is great. The bottom half of our rotation, you felt good when Ingamanga was available, when he was healthy, and when Steele was healthy, and those guys were out there. You felt decent about the day. But and Javi, I thought, did a great job. But Jameson, I never felt confident when I heard he was on the bump.
J-Mo did great in the second half.
The second half,
yeah.
But he struggled in the middle. He was one of the biggest struggles in the middle there. But even beyond that, like you said, it
just seems every year it's the bullpen. They just don't want to invest in the bullpen. I mean, I can get not wanting to commit long-term deals, the middle relievers, because they're so hard to predict and get long-term sustainable success from year to year.
But I'm not even mad about that. Like you said, that's one that you can forgive. But what about the I would argue almost the most important position in the pitching staff next to your starter?
You gotta have a closer.
We don't have a.
They thought that it was going to be Adbert Alzolay. Guy got hurt, and there was no backup plan on who that was going to be. It seems like every year, going all the way back to Theo Epstein.
I would even argue. Time out. I would even argue going back to 2015.
Yeah, that's where I was going with the Theo Epstein regime. 14, 15. They've always relied on getting the closer role determined or fixed at midseason. That's why we got Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've had a consistent, we know who the closer is going to be at the beginning of the year since 17, when we got Wade Davis in the off season, but he wasn't the peak Wade Davis that he was when he was shutting down games for the Royals. As Wade Davis he closed out games and did really well for the Cubs, but he was on the tail end of his career. And then we got the tail end of Craig Kimbrel as well. I would
one guy that I would argue, and this I think going into the year, I thought, and again, this goes back to 15-16, I thought Pedro Strop was going to be our guy. And if you look at the beginning of that year, he was doing great. He had solidified his spot as the starter, or as the closer, for most of that year. Bringing in Aroldis Chapman was just, once you brought him in, there was no choice but to make him your starter. We were paying him way too much. The only thing he did was, or closer, the only thing he did was close. That's the only reason we brought him in. I felt bad for Pedro Strop. That's the last time we had a starter. At the beginning of a season, I felt confident in a starter, was Pedro Strop.
For me, it was Wade Davis back in 17.
But again, Okay, you're right. Going into the season, I thought Davis was going to be the guy. He turned out not to be as great as he should have been, and the rest of the team wasn't supporting him. That's probably the other problem there. But with that being said, yeah, it's the bullpen, man. Like, what do we? It's also the bullpen is also the hardest positions to get right. Like, you have to have a closer, period. What do we do to get a closer? I mean, what drove the early 2000 Yankees to all their dynasty level championships?
You had Mariano Rivera.
You knew when he was coming out, it was lights out. Closers are the key to the game right now. And actually, I would argue closers are not the only key. I think relievers in general, because of the analytics of baseball and the way that baseball has been taken over by, you have a perfect game, but you're coming in, you have a shutout, you have a no-hitter going, but it's your third time through the lineup. So guess what?
Combined no-hitter. It's combined no-hitter.
Go.
Well, yeah, a lot of teams, if anything, Mike, you see that the teams that are still in this playoffs, or at least the teams like the Dodgers and the Padres and the Guardians, they have built their bullpens on getting to the seventh inning.
Yep.
And then once the seventh inning, they have a guy that's going to come in the seventh inning every single time. And then an eighth inning guy, and then a ninth inning guy.
Yep.
Every single time. It is planned out.
And by the way, when the Cubs won the World Series, you know what they did?
They had that They had that mapped out.
You get me to the seventh, and we'll get you home. If you have a win going into the seventh, we'll give you that. We'll get you that W at the end of the day. And the Cubs that year, and most teams, I think. Man, that makes me want to break it down. And I know the stats are going to be somewhere out there that teams that play that style compared to teams that do the whole super analytics of you can't go before this or that. Anyway, with that being said, I think Craig. So mid-season, and maybe we will next week still have to have Baker out here and get him on and talk about this. To talk about is that, like, his feelings towards the season, because I really wonder if in the season, man, I genuinely wonder if at the end of the season, if he's happy with counsel or if he's upset about it. I actually am not upset about it. I'm actually good with it. I think he's straightened his stuff out.
All right, so finally, Mike, besides trying to fix the bullpen,
yep,
what else would you say? What would you say as a wish list for next year? For me, Mike, it's finding a catcher to pair with Miguel Amaya.
Yeah.
Miguel Amaya, I think, did very well to end out the season.
Yep.
But I still think that he's probably best suited to be a platoon person, not the full-time guy.
Yep.
So I would want us to have a good starting caliber catcher that you could pair with Amaya.
I like that. Are you asking? Well, so here's the problem that I have with your question.
Okay.
Fixing the bullpen, I would pitching coach / bullpen coach, both of those positions. Would those be fixing the bullpen still, or would those be accurate? I would like to see a new pitching coach. I would like to see someone like that. To me, the problem, like we talked about slightly earlier, is that we have a pitching coach that's been around since 2014, 2015.
No. It wasn't that late. I would probably. It would have to be at least 18. I think it was 17 or 18 or 19. I think is when Tim Hardaway.
I thought it was sooner than that, but
No. Because you had Madden had his pitching coach from Tampa come with him.
Oh yeah.
So he was not he wasn't a part of the 16 team, but at least during the David Ross years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So the 3 years of
he's been since 2019. Okay, you're right. But
since 2019, it's time for a new voice in the pitching.
And again, I would argue that in the entire time, his entire tenure has been plagued with missteps, and I think a lot of it. I don't know. I don't want to say I think a lot of it. I think a good chunk of the. A good chunk of what we've been complaining about is stuff that a good pitching coach could help with. And so yeah, I really would like to see a pitching coach. That's my big one right now.
And I think the other thing for me would be I'd like a frontline starter that's right-handed.
Okay.
And for me, that the guy that sticks out is Corbin Burns. Bring him back. Bring him out of. He's going to be a free agent with at the end of the year, so he could leave Baltimore, and then you could reunite him with Council, and he could be a guy that could slot in as your ace and allow you to slide Steele and Imanaga down a spot.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't think either are aces, but I think either one of them can function as an ace.
Yep.
But they're more slotted to be probably 2A and 2B instead of a stretch as an ace.
Yeah. I would say both of them would be a high 2 anywhere. I think they both deserve at least a 2A anywhere they go, and maybe not the Dodgers, because the Dodgers have 4 aces in their bullpen or in their rotation.
Yeah, on paper they have like at least three people that would be opening day starters on any other team, but for the Dodgers, they're only one of them could be the opening day starter.
And again, I don't want to complain about that, because opening day in 2016, we had the craziest starting rotation of anybody else. But man, you're right. Okay, I like that. I think the coaching side of it for me is a bigger thing, because again, if we can establish that, if we can establish the culture correctly, I think you could see guys step up a little bit better elsewhere. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that one.
All right. Anything else on Cubs baseball?
See you next year.
Yep. Well, I guess one other thing, I got to hand it to how the Cubs handled Kyle Hendricks' potential last start.
Oh, that was what I wanted to bring up. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't have asked for a better last outing for the professor, as 7 1/3 shutout innings.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Council wasn't the one that went out and got him. It was longtime pitching coach Timmy Hardaway that went out to the mound to get him, and he got to make the rounds in the dugout of getting congratulations. He got a
curtain call,
and they played his warm-up song as he was walking off of the mound, not to the mound, as a send-off to him.
Yeah. I think it's time. The hard part on it is I don't think he thinks it's time. I think he still thinks he should be a starter, and or at least a major league pitcher. And
I think his time in Chicago is done. But I could see him taking a flyer on a team that could use him just as a filler guy, or it just taking a chance that, I still want to prove that I got it. I'll sign on and be on a bad team if it means I can be a starting pitcher in the major leagues still. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him on a team maybe like the Reds or the Pirates.
Or Vegas.
I don't know if he... Man.
When he stooped that low.
With the A's, they are a team that'll pluck somebody and plug him in to see how long to squeeze as much as they can out of him, so they can spin him off as a trade deadline sell off, or they see what they can get from him. If it doesn't work out, well, at least he's only signed to a minimum deal.
Yeah,
Tampa could be a good spot for Kyle Hendricks. They have a good pitching lab that just has ways to rehabilitate starters.
Yeah, I like that concept, but the problem is his game is completely different than anybody else's, really. He's not out there blazing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs at you. He takes his time, he picks his punches, and he goes. So that's the hard part to say, and I don't hear what I'm saying, not what it sounds like. I'm not saying that baseball has passed him, but kind of baseball's passed him, man. Like, it's hard to say that it hasn't, but it's also hard to say that it has. Okay, Rich, we got to blaze through football this week because we are at 52 minutes.
Oof. All right.
And we have all of football to go. So I'm just going to rapid fire last week at you. Just
Gotcha.
Sit back, you relax. We'll get in. I'll bring you in on week 5 and we'll talk about it then, okay? So week 4, we saw the Bears and the Rams play in Chicago. We both said the Bears won. That brings both of our totals to 3-1 on the year. The Bears are sitting at 2-1 on the year. Or 2-2 on the year. On locks of the week, I picked the 49ers over the Patriots. Rich, you picked the Jets over the Broncos. The 49ers came through. They didn't? Oh, yeah, no, the Patriots won. And we both are 0-4 for locks this year. That is ridiculous. Am I really that bad this year on that? I thought I was doing better. Okay, upsets of the week. The Falcons at the Saints. Falcons pulled it off. I am 1-3. Ravens over Bills. Ravens pulled it off. You are 1-3 as well. The Bucks versus the Falcons. I picked the Falcons. You picked the Bucks. The Falcons won 36-30. Just happened not that long ago. That came through. And now we are in week 5. Rich, week 5, Panthers versus the Bears in Chicago. I think this one's actually one of the easier ones for us to pick in the year.
Yes, I'm going with a win here. Although, you know what, the Red Rifle has kind of somewhat righted the ship there in Carolina.
Yep.
But, we need to get that win because we still own their second-round pick this year.
Hey, Rich, you have mine wrong. I picked the Bills over the Cardinals, the Chiefs over the Bengals, and the Bills over the Jaguars. So I'm 3-1 on the year.
Okay.
Just point it out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you are. Where'd you go?
So, don't...
Yeah. Your locks of the week.
My locks of the week have been good. But up until the Niners-Patriots.
And the Niners still won that game.
Oh, then I'm perfect on the year.
Yeah.
Rich, you led me astray. I'm perfect on the year.
Oh yeah. I didn't fill in yours.
Messing me up.
Yeah, the Niners Patriots game was a West Coast game, so I didn't get a chance to get you 4-0 in there. I'm 0-4. I'm really bad on locks this week.
That's okay. Okay.
Anyway.
So let's go to locks of the week. Rich, it is your week to pick. Yeah, by the way, I'm picking the Bears. I don't think this one's actually that.
Yeah.
Even with the Red Rifle, it'll be a come back to earth game for the Red Rifle, and the Bears are going to do it. So, boom. Let's get into the locks of the week. Rich, you're first.
I sure hope this one doesn't come back on me, but I'm going to go Seahawks over the Giants.
Okay, I like it. I think that's a pretty solid one. I'm going to go Chiefs over Saints. I feel confident in that one.
Right.
Upset alert, Rich.
I'll go with the Texans over the Bills.
Ooh, okay. That one I think is a coin toss game, so I'm okay with you. I think that's a good one for you. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb. I'm going to pick the Rams over the Packers, as I think this is that the Rams have to get right. They're already in a position where no team that's started the year 3-1 has made it to the playoffs in the current format. But if you think anybody can, I think it's the Rams that can. And so I think they actually this is when they start their we're better than you thought we were movement, and that's going to be running over the Packers.
I don't know if I like that pick, Mike. You still got a team that's without Puka and Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
So, and a bad offensive line, but I get the reasoning. That they need to win.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's going to come against the Packers. Thursday Night Football, week number 6, the Niners will head up to Seattle.
Yeah.
Division rival game. I got to go with the home team on this one. So I'm going to take the Seahawks.
And I feel bad that we're not going to get to power rankings this week because you are hot on the Seahawks and I am not. I think the Niners are going to go all out this week, and you're going to see them right the ship, and they're going to be fine. So I'm picking the Niners. We're going to skip power rankings again this week. I apologize, folks. That baseball talk got us a little bit too deep in the woods, but I think it was great talk, and I will never apologize for the good conversation we had. I just feel bad that you don't get our power rankings. If it wasn't for our arbitrary hour limit that we try to hold ourselves to, or within an hour or so, we would definitely, if we wanted to go for 2 hours, not tonight because then it's 1 in the morning, almost midnight before we get done. I would be all for it, but we're not doing that. But we do have to talk our headline topic, our title topic of the show. Dikembe Mutombo passes away. And hours later, we get another announcement. And it broke the heart of millions and around the world, billions around the world about Dikembe, and millions upon millions of baseball fans mourned later. Rich, what was that news?
Was that the hit king Pete Rose passed away. Dikembe Mutombo, he had the iconic thing. You had the finger wag every
not
time
in my house.
And then he does the Geico commercial where he's blocking shots. It's like, what's so easy about saving money on a car insurance? As easy. What I don't remember. Where was Progressive? One of those two is like it's just as easy as Dikembe Mutombo blocking shots.
Yeah.
Smacking people tossing stuff into a laundry, into a shopping cart. No, not in my house. But I mean, the guy did so much for humanitarian aid in his home country of Africa that, it's a big loss for the NBA community as well as the world in general. What he was able to do with his with his earnings to make an impact in his home country.
I would argue that Dikembe Mutombo did more for international basketball than just about anybody else ever. For total international. For Asian, for China's relations, yeah, it's Yao Ming all day. But outside of that, it's Dikembe Mutombo. Did more for international basketball, especially Africa, than anybody else in the world. And he wanted to spread basketball and the humanitarian side of basketball around the world. And the man did it. Died of brain cancer. Terrible tragedy. And then Pete Rose died at 82. Man, I really wish we had more time on this, Rich. We're going to talk next week I'll give my position. I will speak next week on why I don't think Pete Rose should make it into the Hall of Fame at this point in time.
Okay.
I have an argument against it. I totally get the reason, and I preface it that way because I'm sure you have the exact opposite argument. And for most of my life, I would have had the opposite argument. And actually, for all of Pete's life, I had that exact argument. But I will explain why next week.
All right, so I will keep it on the outline. I can already see where it's going to go, and in my head, putting it on the outline, it's going to be one of those statements where we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
I'll make it right now. I'm sorry. I'll make it right now.
That's fine. Go ahead.
It's multifaceted, but first, if Major League Baseball if the Hall of Fame has kept him out because of his ban is a permanent ban. It's not a lifetime ban. It's a permanent ban. And so if your argument is that if their argument is they're keeping him out because of X, because of that ban is a permanent ban. It is not a lifetime ban. If you look at the rule, go check out the rule. 2, I don't have a problem. Like, I think, and I've watched, and especially on Dan Patrick, he opened up way more on Dan Patrick than I think I've seen anybody open up. He did talk about that he was sorry for what he did in the game, and he thought that he was still okay because he was betting for his team to win. The problem is that on days that he wasn't betting on his team to win, he knew his team was going to lose. So that it wasn't about the money, or it was about the money. It wasn't about the actual thrill of the bet. Because if it was about the thrill of the bet, he would have bet on his team every day, all day, to win every game. So, that, and I know the arguments for his family. Yes, the fact that you can't tell the story of baseball without talking about Pete Rose, I agree. I 100% agree. But you can't tell the story of baseball without talking about Mark McGwire and steroids. You can't talk about the story of baseball without Sammy Sosa. And you can't talk about baseball. You can't tell the full story without the steroid era. And it looks like we're not going to let any of those guys in. By the way, none of that stuff that they did was illegal at the time. Pete Rose, they have had a sign up since the Blackhawks scandal in every clubhouse.
Black Sox.
In every clubhouse saying don't gamble on baseball in which your team is competing. By the way, that's how the rule reads. It doesn't say don't gamble on baseball. It says don't gamble on baseball that you have say on the outcome.
And by all means, those are valid points and all make sense. My point of view that I've had for quite some time is that the transgression that he's admitted to happened when he was a manager. And we've had plenty of managers that are in the Hall of Fame that also played Major League. That if you said, well, would he have made the Hall of Fame as a player? No. Are we inducting him as a manager? Yes.
Okay.
Induct Pete Rose, the player, but do not acknowledge his managerial career because that's what got him banned.
By the way, I actually don't mind that, but that had been my argument. And by the way, you and I have both made that argument on this show, and I agree with that argument. But if the reason they're keeping him out is because of the ban is not a lifetime ban. It is a permanent ban. It doesn't end at the end of his life. It does not end at the end of his life.
Yeah.
And that's
the other thing is, Mike, is that the ban is from baseball. The Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum and Major League Baseball are two totally different things.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And
and that's why I don't have no problem with PED or steroid users, whether they were confirmed they had tests, whether they tested positive or it's allegedly they took those substances.
But
no problem with those being in the Hall of Fame.
But Rich, here's my problem though. Here's part of my problem, and I'm just gonna say it. Who does it help? Who does it benefit to put Pete Rose in there?
Now nobody. It's his family now.
Now it's his family. And you know what? Maybe appease the family. But honestly, I think Pete deserved to be in there for his life. I think he deserved to see himself go in the Hall of Fame. And I'm sorry. To me, it's near spitting on his grave to put him in now.
And I did hear that argument when they were talking about it on Unsportsmanlike on my drive into work, is that if you've held him out of the Hall of Fame this long, keep him out.
Like, I'm sorry, if you're gonna put him in now, that's like spitting on the man's grave. That's saying you didn't deserve to know you were this good. I can't
didn't
do
deserve the honor to come up and give your Hall of Fame speech.
I think he deserved it, and that's why I'm so convicted now that he shouldn't go in.
All right.
Because I don't think the other side is and this is for me. I don't want him to go in because I don't want the Hall of Fame to get to profit off of his death.
I had not considered that point.
Because right now, if the Hall of Fame puts him in, they're profiting off of his death, and that's they're words that I don't want to use here. That is malarkey.
If anything, Mike, I think that if anything, it's going to be I think it would be a Veterans Committee vote that puts him into the Hall of Fame. It's not going to be the voter. I don't think that they're going to bend the rule and then put him onto the
I agree, onto
the ballot for writers. So Mike,
we're at an hour and 8 minutes. So esports, we won our match, we got our new shirts, it's awesome, love it. We're gonna watch, neither one of us have been able to watch Masked Singer this week because we normally both watch it on Thursdays. Rich, you have a shout out, so give it real quick and then we will do that last part of the show.
Yeah, a very happy birthday to my wife Amy. So
by the way, hang on, time out. I get to do that shout out too because I've known her at least as long, if not slightly longer than you, I think. So happy birthday, Amy. We love you, and we can't wait to hang out with you guys. If no later than Thanksgiving, we'll see you then. But we should get together before that. But yeah, with that, Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, go ahead and roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.